Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to The Money Factor. I'm Richard Naylor, your host. Today's show, we'll be talking about HVCC's SUNY Educational Opportunity Center. It's one of the best kept secrets in the capital for the thousands of people, and we were talking perhaps 45,000 people who've already benefited. Our guests are Tina Mone, Coordinator of Employment, Bradley, Recruitment and Marketing Services.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I didn't know about it, so the secret works for me. And I knew that HVCC was very active in helping to develop the candidates for jobs in the area, but I didn't know anything about this program.
The Educational Opportunity Center, yes.
Right.
Yep, we're a division of Hudson Valley.
So what's the mission of the Educational Opportunity Center?
Katie?
The mission of the Educational Opportunity Center is to provide academic and vocational training to individuals who may be educationally and economically disadvantaged. So we offer a variety of training programs, including GED preparation, college preparation, and then a variety of vocational programs that range from building trades and facilities maintenance to culinary, cosmetology, nursing assistant, and welding.
So you do really, you cover quite a few occupations.
We do.
Yes, we do.
And we are actually one of 12 educational opportunity centers statewide, and we are all funded through the State University of New York University Center for Academic and Workforce Development. So our funding runs through SUNY. Each EOC is associated with a SUNY or CUNY school, so therefore we are a division of Hudson Valley Community College.
And hopefully you haven't been cut too much.
Well,
too much could be anything,
we
but yeah,
have.
you've suffered also.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Right, and this is one of the real key elements to our economy is getting people working. So I would hope that you haven't been cut as much as some people, but I guess everybody suffers in these times.
They do, yeah.
I was reading an article in The Economist, and it put it a little differently. We spoke a little bit before we went on the air. According to Moore's law, computer chips double like every 18 months, and so the automation abilities of our society have just grown tremendously since the 80s. But it's saying, the Economist article is saying that, but the education and the ability of people to use all that has not grown so quickly, which is kind of like one perspective on a lot of people are out of work and there are jobs, but they can't do them. Now, you had an interesting comment about that it's not just the technical part, though, that's challenged.
Well, it's the soft skills, what we would term soft skills, those workplace basic skills that any employer would want from a new employee or their existing staff. The ability to take responsibility, to learn, to be able to deal with conflict in the job, problem solving, good communication skills. All those are factors today because most people, they're having to do more than one job, and so working more hours. So it's a challenge in the workplace. It really is, and so we'll be talking a little bit about the credential in a little bit, but I think it's a necessary certification that would tell an employer that if you would want to interview me, I have this credential that says I have the soft skills that you need for this entry-level position.
And I can relate to that. It's really something that we've dealt with. You have tests that have been developed by civil service and other organizations, and they're technical. So technically somebody knows what to do, but because there's so much interactivity today with other people, with the public, that unless you really have good social skills and understand how to be business-like and friendly at the same time.
Right.
And that's what's lacking. I think the kids, my niece, I mean, those fingers go, and she can text, but to get her on the phone, she struggles to have a conversation. So they can hide behind the technology, but in a regular work environment, they struggle with the communication skills and the social skills to interact with their coworkers and the supervisor.
So it's really kind of a melding of different things going on here. We've got young people who are very savvy with a computer. So yeah, they can explain to their parents, too fast, of course, for the parents to understand.
Right.
But they can explain what's going on, but then when it comes to actually working with people, they have a problem.
A very severe problem.
And that's been predicted, I guess, by some people who say, all this sticking to the computer and not working with people has not helped in some ways.
No, not at all, I don't believe.
You mentioned academic as well as business?
Vocational.
Vocational, no. Is there a mix, or give me some examples of actual jobs that people have worked for?
Well, I can answer that for you. The jobs that we have, since we have a variety of different vocational programs, our programs are intended for a person to go right out to work and get a job. When they come to the EOC, they can't come if they've got a college degree, but this will teach them.
They can.
They cannot.
They cannot.
No, and so when they come here, they're learning a new skill. So if you come for the cosmetology program, it is a licensed, New York State licensed program. When you're done and you pass your exam, you'll be able to be licensed to practice as a hairstylist, manicurist, anything that would be done with hair care or nail care or skin care. If you are graduating from a welding program, you can get a welding job, pipe fitter position. You can work in any one of the unions that would require the skill of welding. We also have a building trades program. You can go out and learn construction work. I mean, you can actually be a construction worker. You can be a building trades person. You can repair buildings. There's so many different ways that you can actually go out and get a job. And they're not going to start out at $30,000 a year, but they're certainly going to get a wage that would be comparable to this area. So business they could be a receptionist, medical records clerk, administrative assistant, secretary.
Now you mentioned academic as well.
Academic, yes.
What does that lead to?
In many cases, our academic program, people come in because they do not have a high school diploma.
Right.
So they come in and they work towards earning their GED.
Oh, so when you say academic, you don't necessarily mean a PhD in philosophy.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We may be the starting point for them. Like I said, if they do not have a high school diploma when they come to us, they can attend our GED prep program. We also have a college preparation program. So if somebody is ready to make that leap to college, we have some classes that can help better prepare them to be more successful on a college campus.
So you may take people from high school that really aren't ready for the college life and make them ready.
Yes. We also, in that too, we also offer some remedial programs for individuals who have been away from school for some time and need to brush up on basic math skills, basic language skills, reading skills. And so we can help them start from that point, move up to their GED, and then eventually go on to college as well.
That's great. I was talking to somebody this past weekend about the fact that a lot of people have dropped out of college. I mean, I'm talking about my generation on back. And I did that for a couple of years. And then you realize, well, this is not the life I wanted. And maybe it seemed like a good idea at the time, but it doesn't seem like a good idea anymore. And so I would go back to school with a lot of motivation, but I had to catch up. But the question was, if it got longer than 2 or 3 years, now maybe you really need a lot more remediation to be able to survive the college degree program.
That's true. That's very true.
So how does the program fit into the overall college? Is it like a part of the college where this helps people get into the rest of the college?
We are actually a separate entity altogether. As I said earlier, we are funded by the State University of New York through the University of Academic and Workforce Development. So our funding comes directly through SUNY. And because of the way our funding is written, we have to go through a CUNY or a SUNY school. So we are a separate division from Hudson Valley.
Okay.
They oversee a lot of our administrative funding and that kinds of things, but we are a totally separate entity. We do have a college connections department that really encourages our students to consider college and help make college an actual achievable goal for them. And we always do tours at Hudson Valley. We spend a lot of time at Hudson Valley, but we are not necessarily an arm of Hudson Valley that every student of ours will go up to Hudson Valley.
So some people may go through this program and then go to SUNY Albany or somewhere else.
They could, and a lot of them, a large majority, go directly to work from our program.
And that's good too.
That is great too.
So, but if they did a cosmetology program, I assume you don't duplicate that program if there's a cosmetology program at HVCC. Would they then do your program and then go into the cosmetology program?
Well, what they would do is that the focus of them coming to the Education Opportunity Center is to get employment or to go on to higher education. So if we had someone who graduated from our COS program, the intent would be for them to go to test to get their license and go out to work. But they also could go to the campus and they could, apply for, college and look towards getting a degree. So it's in many ways we're a beginning point for them and an opportunity to get the job, and yes, to go on to higher ed, that'd be great too. But I think our intent is to get them the job and give them the skills to do that.
Now, is there a means test to get in the program, or is anyone welcome?
There is a test that every individual takes when they come in and apply, and it's called the TABE test, which is the test for adult basic education. And there are certain scores that they need to attain on that test to go into their first program of choice. So they may come to us and they may want to go into welding, but based on their initial TABE score, they may need to start out in one of our math or language skills class to raise their scores before they can go into the welding program.
I could see how that would possibly seem like a negative thing to people, but it's such a positive thing, actually. You're finding, okay, you look at someone's skills and you say, here's where you want to go, but this is something that you need before you finish your journey. Don't try to walk to San Francisco, you need a car.
Right.
So here's how
nice
you get the skills that you need to succeed.
Yes.
That's very true. And some of our programs, some of our vocational programs require a high school degree or a GED before they can start in that program, welding being one of those.
Yes.
And at first, some of the individuals saw that as a negative. But what we try to tell them is we do that because we know that employers will not hire you in the welding field without that high school diploma or GED. So we try to set them up for success and take that extra barrier away.
That's great. I wonder, is this open to people with any amount of income or resources, or do you need to fall below a poverty line, or what does it take to get in?
We do have eligibility guidelines. It is based on the size of the household and the household income. My suggestion would be for those specific guidelines to call our admissions department at 273-1900 extension 2230, and they can give you all of the specifics and be able to tell you directly whether or not you would qualify to come.
Okay. So I guess you get people from a variety of backgrounds
Absolutely.
and a broad range of needs. Could you give some success stories, perhaps, a couple of examples of people who succeeded with a little bit of a variety?
Sure. We have...
you don't have to mention a name.
Oh,
But
that's okay. No, we've had students that have been able to get wonderful positions. Actually, one of our recent students actually has gone up to Hudson Valley Community College. She's a graduate from our business program, and she's working with the nanotechnology side. There's a special grant that's been given to the campus to run this program.
Is that connected at all to CSEM, or?
I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure. But she's a project, I think her title is program coordinator. So, and because of her computer skills and how well she interviewed, and she's a very accomplished young lady. She really is. She's very professional acting, and I think that she's going to do well with the job. So she's gone on and done some great things. We've had several of our students have opened their own salons. Actually, our current cosmetology instructor was a student of the EOC, went off and got his shop going, and now is returned as an instructor.
That's nice.
So there's a lot of full circle things that happen. And so we have a success story, what's it called, stepping stones, that we put out and often give to our employers for them to see what our students are able to accomplish, and a little bit of where they've come from, and how they got to where they are today. So,
what kind of experience would somebody expect to have? Let's take them through the whole process. Let's say they find out about the program and they think, wow, I could use that. I'm either underemployed, maybe I'm only working part-time and I want to, I need really a full employment and I want to see what I'm going to be doing for the next 15 years and grow. From that point, they call you and what do they hear? What do they have to do?
To enroll or?
To enroll, to begin, and then to move forward. Kind of take them through the process so they see.
Okay, well, if someone wants to come to the EOC, first, again, what Katie had mentioned earlier, to call to find out, basically what the requirements are, because they'll need paperwork to come in. But when they come to the EOC, there is a long process of, not long process, but the idea that when someone's coming
Thorough
in,
process.
It's a thorough, yes, it is a very thorough process because we are state funded and making sure the individual that come is meeting the eligibility requirements. So we're very thorough in that process. And when they come and they test, they're learning their reading and their math abilities. And most of the time they are an adult returning to school, an adult that has children, more responsibilities than a high schooler would have. So they're managing several household of maybe 3, sometimes 4 children. Sometimes they're a single parent, and coming back to education is a challenge. So when they come to the EOC, they're getting back into a school environment though that is a place where they can learn at their own ability, which is a wonderful thing. I might comprehend something quickly where someone else is going to take a little more time.
Especially one class or another class. You might be good at technical things and not as good at something else.
Every one of our vocational teachers have been in the business or currently still in the business, and they know exactly what they're doing. So they will take them aside. They'll find ways to make the learning process different for each person if they need to. And I think that's the most wonderful thing about the Educational Opportunity Center, that we meet people where they're at and can take them. And so once they've fulfilled all the requirements of their program, they will get a certificate. We will be working with them in employment, getting them to...
so that would be a milestone then, that certificate.
Absolutely. And we even have our own, Hudson Valley provides a space where we have our own graduation service for our students.
Oh, nice.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's probably one of the most moving experiences that I've ever really had. And I'm going into almost 20 years being there. Every year is very different. But you'll find somebody who's 65 years old and never got their GED just walked across that stage, and they're so exhilarated. And their families come, and they're so proud of them for what they've been able to accomplish. And we do tend to have people who come from all walks of life. They might have never got their GED. They've been a single parent. They dropped out of high school for several different reasons. They've lost their job. They've come out of drug rehab. And most places are not necessarily equipped to work with an individual who's very slow thinking, where we give them those small rewards. And as they move towards learning process with those small rewards, it pays off in the end. And they begin to learn. They realize, I'm not stupid. I've been told I've been stupid all my life, and I'm not. I really can do this. And so they go off and do great things.
So I kind of asked for the impossible. You can't really, other than the milestones, you can't really say this is what the experience is like, because it's going to vary by every individual.
Yes.
Correct. But I can answer your original question about how somebody would come and get started at the EOC. What makes us unique is that we offer continuous enrollment, with the exception of our cosmetology program and our certified nursing assistant program. So what that means is that individuals don't have to wait to the beginning of a semester to get started in class. So every week
That
we
can
have,
mean a lot.
it does mean a lot. We can have individuals come in every week and start the process of filling out the application and
Right.
bringing in the documentation to make them eligible. So every Tuesday at our Troy facility on Congress Street, individuals can come in at 8:15 in the morning, and they spend about 3.5 hours with us filling out the application, going through their documentation, and that starts the process for them in Troy. Then every Friday at 8:15 at our Albany facility down on North Russell Road, they come in and they do the same thing.
So twice a week they've
Twice a week, that's
great.
right. Once in Troy, once in Albany. Our cosmetology program, as I mentioned, is the exception. That's because the students have to get in 1,000 hours before the end of the year. So they start in September and they go through June. And our certified nursing
So
assistant,
that's really a step-by-step program that ends in a, hopefully,
that they take their exam and they receive their New York State license.
okay, license.
And the other exception is our certified nursing assistant program. That itself is a 6-week program. So we start students as a whole group and they move through that class together. So we offer that about 8 or 9 times throughout the year.
That's almost the same as any time. Yeah.
Right, it is almost the same. They just, with our other classes, when they come in and they sign up with us on a Tuesday, within a week they could be in their academic class or they could be in building trades or welding.
That's very convenient.
It is.
Now, you mentioned different services that you provide. And do you help people when they don't really know what they ought to do? Somebody comes in and they say, I want to better myself, but I'm not sure what I'm good at. Or I don't know what I should do. Or maybe they come in with one idea and it's not a good idea. Do they get any kind of career guidance?
Yes, they do. In the enrollment process, they'll be meeting with someone that will do an assessment of them, and they'll be able to at least determine what programs could match up to some of their dream jobs that they'd like. And if there are certain things that would probably prohibit some activity in certain programs, the Certified Nursing Assistant program over the years has gotten more and more legislation that's prohibited individuals to take that type of a job. So we try to encourage individuals, if you've got a prior criminal activity, that's not the type of job that you're probably
And
going
nursing, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of a developing profession where the responsibilities are growing and may grow more as doctors become expensive and the health
That's right.
system is so expensive.
Yes. So it's an occupation it's in demand. It really is.
So
but
that's a real plus.
It really is. But they can get jobs as a PCA, personal care aide. They certainly can get the certified nursing assistant position. But there are nursing assistant positions that are necessarily certified. So there's some nursing homes that will still hire without certification. And they can go farther on and get some training as a home health aide. So there's lots of opportunities for people with just a basic training skill.
Anything to help them know what jobs are in demand?
Well, sometimes the students will be referred to employment services, which is my area. We'll sit down and have a session with the student. For the most part, if they get into the Educational Opportunity Center for a program, if after a few weeks, if it's been determined that this is not something that maybe I thought I could do, they could see their counselor and perhaps pursue some other program that would be more conducive to their liking. It's not something we automatically do, but the counselor, we have a wonderful counseling staff that meets the students in the sense of if they come in and they're not necessarily prepared for the program they enrolled for, they can work with them.
Okay. Now, people they're trying to, I guess, stay afloat in today's world. They have rent, they need to eat. How can they balance these things? Do you find that people are able to go through this program? Is it flexible in some way so that they can maintain, maybe they have to work some, they can't just take off and go to school. Is that a big problem, or how do people deal with that?
It's gotten better over the years. I think because of the thoroughness of the enrollment process, those questions are asked. So in some cases, they may need just to get a job in what they used to do, and they'll direct them to employment services, and we will work with them.
Okay.
If they are looking for work, that we could still get them positions outside of their training time. So if our program started at 8:30 in the morning and they're done by 2:30, there's certainly enough time
For them to,
get a part-time job from 3 to 7, and that does work for them.
okay.
It helps them. So we try to find out what their needs are so that you have a more well-rounded approach to them and help them to stay in school, because if they have to leave because they need employment, well, that defeats the whole purpose of them coming.
Right.
So we try to work with them as much as we can to meet them where they're at.
And we should probably mention also, I know we've talked a lot about individuals meeting our eligibility guidelines. The reason that is so important is because we do not charge tuition.
That is a big thing that we don't want to leave out.
Big thing, right? So,
great.
they certainly do have to juggle rent and utilities and other bills that they have, but once they qualify to come as a student to our school, they do not have to then add the cost of tuition on top of everything else that they're trying to balance at their home.
And I don't want to underestimate how difficult it could be for some people. They could have a family, they could have children, a lot of balls to keep in the air, but it sounds like you're trying to make it possible. And with a lot of motivation and determination, quite a few people could accomplish this.
Absolutely.
So how many people a year go through this?
We serve about 1,000 students each year.
Which we did by, what, 45 years you've been here. You're up to 45,000
About 45,000, that's very true.
That's a lot of people.
And because we do have continuous enrollment, that doesn't mean that we have 1,000 students in our facilities throughout the entire year. They come and go as they're able to complete their programs and start when they have the opportunity to do so.
We're getting close to the end. I was intrigued by a couple other things. ESL? You have ESL classes. How does that fit in? Is it full-blown, or is it people that are pretty good but they're not quite there for the classes? Do you take like a new person off the boat from Vietnam and help them, or is it more, I'm not very good at English yet?
Well, they do come through our regular admissions process like any other individual, and they do not take the TABE test that we discussed earlier, but they would take the Best Plus test. And what that ensures is that we are able to serve individuals that are at least literate in their own language before coming to the United States, because we have found in the past that some individuals that try to come and learn English can't necessarily write or read in their own native language.
I didn't even think of that.
So we do have a test that they have to take so that we can at least make sure that they're literate.
Could you describe that test? Because I don't know it. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know it. But
Well, the Best Plus, it asks them to write a sentence or two about an image that they see. It just makes sure
in English or
in English.
Okay.
Yep. It just makes sure that they have like the real basics.
Okay.
Because we just do not have the funding sources available to start with somebody who doesn't even
C-spot
have
run in French or
Right. Exactly. But we do offer 3 different levels of ESL through our program, so they can, start out with us and then progress their way up.
So it also might appeal to someone who has taken maybe ESL through one of the other programs, and they've moved along, but now they're really interested in integrating. Maybe it's a spouse of someone who is an American citizen and works here, and they're now wanting to get out of the house and work.
And if we have found that if an individual isn't ready to come to us and start in our first ESL program, there are others in the area that we'll recommend them to start out, and then they will come back to us when they are at that point where they can start into our program.
What do you think we left out? What should I have said something about that I didn't?
Well, we wanted to talk a little bit about the National Work Readiness Credential.
Thank you. Let's do that.
That's okay. I hope I can do it in the time that we have. It is a measurable test that can be taken by our students and someone in the community that they would like to take it. It is a test that is testing an individual on their reading, their math, their situational judgment skills, and their active listening skills. The individual would have to pass all 4 of the tests in order to receive the credential, and that they could take the test in one day. It takes about 3 hours to take it. We actually know the results right away. Passing score is 70 at any one of those tests, and if they complete the test, they get their credential, and they can put that on their resume and demonstrate straight to an employer that they are a good employee who has the necessary entry-level job skills for today's worker.
And that would be social skills, writing. Repeat those 4 things again.
Yep, there's a reading.
Reading.
That, again, assessing them on their comprehension level.
Okay.
Math, basic math that's needed in the workplace.
And that's a big problem if you can't add, you can't always push hamburger everywhere.
That's right. Situational judgment. Again, that's assessing the individual on how well they communicate, how well they can deal with conflict in the workplace, interpersonal skills. All those things are in the test.
I think that's a really big one. I spoke to someone who runs another job-related program, and he said, you know, what they really want, and this would be as the employer, they want somebody who can come in and think.
Right.
Because almost no job, he said, there's a book that tells you exactly what to do in every situation. The world doesn't work properly. Generally, things don't work right. And so you need to say, okay, if this is the case, how can I work with this? So that judgment.
Yep, judgment. And then there's the active listening skills, which once again, they're all multiple choice. You don't really need computer skills, but it is done on a computer. And so it's automatically assessed, and by the time they get done with the test, we'll know whether they pass or not. And they get a certificate in the mail that says that you have this as a credential now.
Great.
And we're trying to encourage all of our students to take it at the Educational Opportunity Center. We think it's an added plus for the job market. Actually, the Labor Department is very supportive of their credential, and actually GE actually was one of the major employers in the area that actually put that in their job posting that said preferential consideration will be given to those who have passed the National Work Readiness credential.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's got the, you know, basically by virtually, you know, the job being posted endorses the fact that they see the value in the credential, and we're hoping that more employers will see that as well.
One last question for you, Katie.
Sure.
Recruitment, how do you do that? Besides coming on shows.
We have a full-time recruiter, and we also have a woman who joins us every summer as a part-time recruiter, and they spend their time getting to a number of the community organizations. It could be places like the YWCA. We certainly spend a lot of time every week in the county-wide one-stop centers that help individuals find employment or
right,
some of those basic.
Part of the Labor Department?
Part of the Labor Department, that's correct. We attend different interagency meetings where we get together with agencies that serve a similar population, and we share ideas on, you know, what we're offering as services, so we can tell them what we have as new or bring back information for our students and staff. And we just go to a lot of similar organizations in the community, meet with their clients.
So you would be open to doing that from someone who sees the show and they say, wow, I think some of the people that I work with don't know, so let's call HVCC Educational Opportunity Center and come out and talk to us.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and we also offer tours of both of our facilities, so they could even call in, schedule a time to come on in, and we can show them the entire facility, the classrooms, and what we have to offer.
That's great. Well, this is really interesting. Final thing, let's make sure we put the number and the website up on the screen. So you say it, and we'll put it up there.
Okay.
Do you have 2 phone numbers or 1, or is there a main one?
We have one main phone
Okay.
number. It's 273-1900. Do you want your extension?
Well, mine's employment, but you know, it doesn't mean we can't help folks, but mine is extension.
So as long as you get that number, you're going to be gotten to the right person.
That's correct.
That's right.
And website, so they can find more about this. I assume HVCC is in there or not?
It is. It's hvcc.edu/EOC.
That's easy. I like
It
that.
is.
It is easy.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show.
thank
This
you.
was interesting to me.
Thank you.
And
Well,
hopefully
thank you
to
for
everyone.
inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, that you tune in again next time, that you have a great week. Take care.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.